I remember the first one 25 plus years ago. It was 21 people in the Ramada Inn in Elkhart, Indiana. Wow.
CSI to me is like going and having family time with some of your best friends. Even though your first time, you may not know anybody, but when you leave, you know everybody.
If when school's out, you sort of have time to do it, you have the time. And also it's not expensive. And that's another way that our servant leadership is expressed. We're saying, come on, come join us. It's an elite group that's not elite.
If you want an opportunity to truly deepen your practice, to truly think about what you're bringing to the stage and think about how we can get better at it, which is, I think, in the heart, what do we want? For the good of our students, for the good of ourselves, for the good of our longevity in the profession, CSI is much more than that booster shot. CSI is that salve that's going to shore us up.
I tell everybody it is a must do. That if you enjoy going to your state conference, that's great. This is like your state conference on steroids. It is so tailor-made for the people who attend that you just have to do it.
The intimacy of CSI is unmatched. Small groups, 20, 25 in a group, and with the clinician, it's highly interactive, conversational. The growth and learning doesn't happen one directional, it's multi-directional stuff. And it's not just the clinics, it's afterwards, it's in between, it's the meals, it's the sharing of stories with each other. And so the engagement is at an incredibly high level, and every person is valued and treated like royalty at CSI.
When you step on the campus at Bethel, you suddenly go, wow. Yes, it's a small world, and there's people from all over the place, but it's a family. And you have literally band gods there that are doing presentations, and they come and sit down and have dinner with you and truly want to talk with you and chat with you and know really what's going on.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. For those of you that are on the West Coast, still good morning. We never know whether to call this lunch or brunch with leaders and legends. We wanted to get that little bit of housekeeping out of the way. At first thing, Councilmember Institute, the 11th through the 14th, in case you had any questions along the way during this session. We have Beth Horton, our great person behind the scenes. And so if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and she'll be glad to connect with you about the Councilmember Institute. I have to describe my background. Normally I wouldn't have a beach with palm trees waving in the breeze, but I'm actually on vacation in near Cancun, Mexico. And although that's not my official that's not really what it looks like. It's pretty close to what it looks like. But even on vacation, I could not pass up the opportunity to meet with our guest today. Maestro Jose Hernandez is definitely a leader and a legend in mariachi and Mexican music. He is phenomenal. What I will tell you is, if you ever heard a mariachi group at your local Mexican restaurant, I'm sure they're very good, but until you hear his group Sol de Mexico, it will spoil all those other times that you hear the groups in the local restaurant, because it's just something that you've got to experience. So if you ever get a chance to listen to Jose and Sol de Mexico, please do. So Jose, thank you so much for joining us today. You're on mute, just FYI. And it's okay.
There it is.
There you go.
Here we go.
Okay. And where did you say you were today?
Today I'm in Rosarito, Baja California. It's about
Okay.
20 minutes from San Diego.
All right. Great. Well, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to talk to Jose, because for those of you that don't know, I mean, Sol de Mexico is a Latin Grammy nominated group. Jose has accolades. He's constantly doing shows. He has a restaurant in LA that he's constantly at. He has so many things going, but I want to get into that in a little bit. But Jose, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background? Because I think that people would love to hear how you started.
Oh, thank you, Rick. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to do this live stream interview with you. I'm very, very grateful. I'm part of a family that's been playing this music for 6 or 7 generations, and from the state of Jalisco, Mexico. It's a very, very musical family. I mean, I've gone back investigating several generations. They're all musicians going back to 1813, believe it or not.
Wow.
it's crazy. I thought it was more, the early 1900s, but they found some proof and some documents that say that my ancestors most of them were musicians.
How about that?
From the state of Jalisco. So yes, I come from a long line of musicians, and here I am playing the same music that my great grandfather was playing back then. I've also gone to music school. After high school, I went through the whole how can you say, the whole experience of going through public school. In 4th grade, I started playing trumpet. I played jazz band, I played marching band, I played the concert band, and then studied arranging and composing. So I love mariachi music, and I love to perform it with my musicians, who are all they're pretty special.
They're fabulous. They are fabulous. So how did you start Sol?
I started Sol de Mexico in 1981, right? So we've been together for 42 years already. Wow. I started in 1981. I was studying at the Grove School of Music in Studio City at that time. It was a jazz orientated school. So they would call it the Berkeley school, of music from the West Coast, right?
West, yeah.
So I wanted to study arranging, composing, and film scoring. And I had asked my older brother, for the chance to go to school, but he needed me at a restaurant that we owned at that time in 1976 that we had bought, and he was a main owner of the restaurant. I couldn't get the time off, so I looked for a job, a gig, just to work on the weekends so I could go to school from Monday through Friday, right? So I ended up putting the group together in 1981. That was the beginning of Sol de Mexico. It was just a way to continue working on the weekends and go to school during the week.
Wow. And I know, we talked briefly before we started. You said turnover is you don't have very much turnover in the group. Once they get in, they want to stay, right?
Not as much anymore. In the beginning, when you don't have too much to offer, a lot of work. And even though, I've always considered myself, a hustler, trying to find work for my guys. It's very difficult, because there is always, that competition, of other groups that maybe have more work or better pay, it's still a business,
Right.
It was difficult in the beginning.
I'm sure. Well, I know you have a lot going on. Like I said earlier, your travel, your performances, your restaurant. And for those of you that don't know, Jose's restaurant also is a performing venue. The guys perform there on a regular basis during the week. And if you've never been, you'll have to go. It's fabulous. But how do you manage all that you've got a lot of, they say irons in the fire. How do you manage all of that stuff?
Rick, I think the secret is to really to rely a lot on your family, and the people love you, that are around you. I think that's very important. My nephew, for instance, he's the one who buys the food and everything we need for the restaurant. My wife checks the numbers. There's always family involved, and also great people that surround me. For instance, the main thing right there is the mariachi, the group.
Right.
Because people, they could eat Mexican food just about anywhere, right? But how many places have a mariachi Sol de Mexico or mariachi Reina de los Ángeles performing on stage while you're having dinner? So in a way, we're the main dish,
Yeah.
and the people around me that make it all happen, I can't do it. I have to delegate a lot of that stuff, So I think that's a secret, to have good people with you, that believe in your vision.
Right. How would you describe your leadership style when because you're, as you said, even the group is a business. How would you describe how you lead?
Rick, I'm pretty laid back when it comes to my leadership style. I think if I put somebody in charge of something, and they know more than me in that area, I'm pretty, I let them do their job, and I think knowing well the people that you put in a leadership role, also, you give them some kind of like I said, leadership role. Say in the kitchen, my chef,
Mm-hmm.
the personalities, knowing that you have a guy that has a nice personality, he talks to the rest of his team, in a good way. They trust him. He's a good worker. He's reliable. The same thing in the mariachi. When I'm not there, I have Adrian, who is my first violinist. He's got a great personality. He's got great leadership quality. So I think that's sort of the secret, of keeping a good ship, going,
Sure.
Going forward,
That's funny that you use that example, because when I became a principal for the first time, my background's music too, and then all of a sudden you're responsible for all these different things that you're not necessarily an expert in. And I can remember sitting down at the table with them and said, look, I need to keep the ship moving forward, but you need to help me with all the details, because you're the experts in all that. So, and sometimes I think people have a hard time letting go of control, and they want to just micromanage everything. And so I think that's an important lesson, and we appreciate you sharing that. What do you think, just for fun, what do you think if I asked one of the guys in the group, hey, tell me about Jose? How does he lead the group? What are they going to tell me?
I don't, you know what? I don't know. I'm very insecure, in that way. I don't, sometimes I try to second guess myself, especially, when I write music is when I feel the most secure. But yet, when I listen to it, I'm not afraid to make changes on my own music, to try to better, the little details and stuff like that. But I don't know. I have one of my guys here. I haven't fed him yet. I haven't taken him to breakfast.
There you go. Before we ask him those kinds of questions, I just know I remember watching you for the first time. It was at the Texas Bandmasters Association convention, and you were clinicking a group, a high school group. I want to say from maybe Fort Worth Independent School District. And the way you rehearsed them, so particular in a good way, about all the little aspects of articulation and phrasing and note lengths. And, I think those of us that maybe don't know or didn't know a whole lot about mariachi and the music wouldn't have thought that there was going to be that much attention to detail, but that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, it comes down to your fundamentals, I think having a basic knowledge of music itself. For many years, mariachis, they all only played by ear, and it was just all feel. For some reason they knew where to cut off. It was just a feel kind of thing, and we sort of try to keep that tradition going on. But it makes it so much easier, when every musician in the ensemble has a musical background, and
Right.
we go back, to music education. When you have that, there are more possibilities to play other sort of styles of music and bring them into a mariachi type of interpretation of a tango or even a pop song. We'll arrange it in a mariachi style with a mariachi
Right.
rhythm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, how do you start your day? Like, do you do every day is the same? Do you have any routines that you do that sort of set you up for the rigor of your day?
I
Other than drinking
it's
some
very
coffee?
it's very important, that when we go through life, things happen in your life that can impact you, and sometimes you change your the way you live your life, the way you start your day.
Sure.
But, I'll tell you what I do now most of the time. I get up and have a little coffee, very, very light coffee. And I usually read the word, I read God's word in the morning, always try to start my day like that. And it calms me down. It's something that I'm trying to get myself to do every day.
Right.
So I do that. And then after that, it's, I usually try to go into my studio that I have behind my home. I have a recording studio upstairs, and downstairs I have a place where I write music. And sometimes I just I'll go into YouTube and see something, study a score. I'll do something like that. Or if I want to decide to write a new arrangement for the all-female group that I have with Reina or with Sol, I will do that. And right now I'm into writing for the symphony orchestra, so.
Right. Wow.
We just had the Rhapsody that I composed a few years ago. We just recorded it with the Prague Philharmonic.
That's right. You were in Prague. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be out. It's going to come out on all the digital platforms, 5 de Mayo. It's called Rapsodia para un Mariachi, a Rhapsody for a Mariachi. And it's with the Prague Philharmonic.
So it's coming out this week.
5 de Mayo, yes, it'll be out. And also there's a video of the recording itself in Prague, with a Philharmonic.
No kidding. So I guess if we just Google that, we can find it.
Yeah, it'll be out.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
But it's very important to me, to continue writing music.
Yeah. Well, and you do it so well. I mean, and you're so good at crossing those genres too, so that, because I've heard, don't you do a Glenn Miller tribute of some sort?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do like a big band. We sort of convert the mariachi into it sounds like a big band because of the 3 or 4 trumpets that we get together, and we do it, block harmony and 4-part harmonies, and
right.
we give it that sound, and we try to also, the chord changes have to be very, very much in the style of how his music was written, so doing that is pretty fun for me, because when I went to Dick Grove, we used to write for big band all the time. For making getting the mariachi to sound sort of like a big band and respecting the articulations and all that good stuff. It's a whole different feel, but it's right now. I mean, the sky's the limit. What we do with the mariachi musicians and ensembles.
So I've noticed not only in my area, but of course around the country as well, but it seems like mariachi is really, really taking off in places where maybe it's never been before, in public schools. What are you seeing happening out there?
Well, there's a lot of interest. A lot of band teachers are wanting to learn how to teach mariachi. The materials are out there now, for kids to learn as part of a curriculum, in the school.
Sure.
We're pretty much involved with that, a lot, through my foundation. I mean, we're involved in about 18 schools over here in Orange County and LA County. So it's growing definitely, in all aspects. I just got a call not too long ago, and they're developing a cartoon, believe it or not, and it's about little animals. It's for kids, right? Little animals that make a mariachi band. together.
Oh,
So they want this series, cartoon series, and they want me to do the background music for it, the score. It's all mariachi music.
nice.
It's things like that. It's just like 20
Yeah.
years ago, 10 years ago, we would have never thought that somebody would actually do that. But that's, I think, Coco, the movie Coco, really opened it up for people.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? You did something with
Oh, no,
Coco.
I didn't do that with Coco. I was more involved in other movies like Rango and all the Beverly Hills Chihuahuas movies. Everything you hear in mariachi there is all Sol de Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, I know the group has been in many films and many things in Hollywood. So exciting. So again, I know and to use another cliche, sometimes, when you're as busy as you are, you're doing that, burning the candle at both ends, and you're trying to stay a healthy person and, get the right kind of sleep and eat right and all that. Can you get away a little bit? What is it that you do when you just want to, back away from work? And do you have any hobbies, or what do you do?
I mean, Ricky, if I could get a couple of days off, like right now, I come here to my condo here in Rosaditos, right on the water.
Okay.
If I have a little more time, I would maybe go to the golf course and just, I'll play around if I'm feeling okay, or I'll just practice my putting, because that really gets my mind off of everything. That little white ball is I tell you. But that helps a great deal. I just, and sometimes I'll write lyrics to songs, I'll write a song that calms me down a lot.
Yeah.
Music always has to play a part of it, though.
Sure. Well, I'll remember that next time I'm out in your neighborhood. I'll have to bring my clubs and we'll go chase a little white ball.
Please do. Just don't play it. Don't beat me too bad, okay?
Oh, you don't have to worry about that.
But I love it. I love the golf game.
So I know you have a big thing coming up that you just shared with me before we got started. Oh, tell us about it. Where are you headed?
Well, we in May, we're doing Phoenix, and then we're the Madison Center in Phoenix, Cinco de Mayo. Then we're up in Livermore at the Performing Arts Center. And then we come back to the Siquan Casino in El Cajon, right here in San Diego County. And then we're in Oxnard, California. But there's a potential tour that we're going to be taking either, I think it's going to be moved to August. We might be visiting China, doing 20 cities in China. So we're very, very excited about that. They really want to promote mariachi music in all these cities that, small towns that had never heard the music before or seen a mariachi live.
Right.
So they want to take Sol to be ambassadors, to the music, So I'm very excited about that.
I guess so. And who better to do it than you and that group? That is awesome. Well, Jose, I thank you so much for joining us. I certainly don't want to take up a whole lot of your time because I'm sure you have things that you need to do, but thank you for allowing me to visit with you a little bit today and to share what you've done. And thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do to spread mariachi education, not only around the country, but really around the world.
Oh, thank you, Rick. I want to thank Hans Elmer really for giving me the opportunity, first of all, to imagine to create that horn, that trumpet, that sells all over the place. And I'm very grateful for that. And also the opportunity to visit many places, thanks to Hans Elmer that sponsors me as one of their artists. That's so important. The scholarships, oh my God, for CSI is amazing. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys very, very much.
Yeah, well, it's definitely reciprocated, and I mean, to have you on our artist roster is pretty amazing for us too. So, again, thank you for your time. Have a great rest of the day. And I always have, since we call this Lunch with Leaders and Legends, you have big lunch plans. You're going to have to take your band member out to lunch here today.
Oh, yeah. We have some great restaurants here in Rosarito. Great restaurants. So since we're going to say goodbye, or hasta la vista, or hasta luego, we're going to say muchas gracias, señor.
De nada. De nada. Muchas gracias to you.
Muchas gracias.
Okay. Thanks, Jose.
Adios. Bye-bye.
Adios.